Hey guys, welcome to Code Decode. Today we have Atul with us. He's a senior Java backend developer with 8 years of experience. Also, if you want to be the part of this mock interview series, just enroll yourself. The link for the Google form is given in the description below and we will get back to you. Now let's get started with the mock interview. So, hi Atul, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so let's get started. So, can you please describe about yourself briefly?
Yes. Hi, I'm Atul Shegokar. I have around 8+ years of experience, and currently I am working in XYZ company, and I am working as a software engineer. So I am mainly a backend Java developer. The various tool and technologies that I work on, like core Java, Java 8 feature, some of the Java 11 feature also, then Spring Framework, Spring Boot, microservices. This is the main tech stack. Apart from the helping skill set such as Git, GitHub, Docker, Maven. So, and apart from this, I have experience on AWS Cloud also. I have used various services such as Elastic Container Service, AWS Code Commit, and AWS CloudWatch, S3, etc. Also storing the Maven and Docker artifact onto the AWS. And also I have experience with PCF, hands-on experience. So in one of my project, I have used Pivotal Cloud Foundry. So this is about me.
Nice to know that. So, as I can see in the resume, you have always worked with Spring and Spring Boot. So, I'll start with something simple and we can go ahead as the interview goes.
Yes, sure.
Works? So, did you use actuator anywhere in the project?
Yes, I
can
have
see
used
that.
actuators. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
mhm.
yeah, so actuators allows us to know insights of the project or the service that we are developing. So if you want to make a use of actuator, so we have to add the one dependency, Spring Boot starter actuator. After adding that dependency, there is some configuration that we have to mention in application.property file. So there are various endpoints that can be exposed by using actuators. So for security reason, by default they are disabled. Uh, Suppose there are 5 endpoints that we want to expose, so we can mention that in application.property, and once those are exposed, then we can access. So the very first endpoint that we are using, like /actuator/health. So this endpoint provides us the status of our application. So another useful endpoint is /actuator/autoconfigs. This provides all the beans that are being auto-configured in our service. Then /actuator/bin. This endpoint is used to know what are all beans that are being used in our service, including
So,
the inbuilt as well as.
I understood. I understood. So you have already configured a lot. Now, my question to you is that these are all management endpoints, right? So,
Okay, yeah.
so there must be some default URL and port to access this particular management endpoint. So that's what you
Yes.
configure in properties. So how do you change it? And I mean, how? What if I don't want to have it on a default port?
Okay, so default port means you are asking about that server.port. We can.
Server to
Okay.
port is the port for the application.
Uh, Application, yes. Mhm.
Uh, is the server port and the management endpoint port for the actuator same?
Yeah, whatever I have used, as per my understanding, I think they are same, and I have used with the server port only.
Okay.
Slash means suppose http://localhost 8080, then /actuator /health. This way I have
Okay.
used.
So that's how you have used the management endpoints for actuator.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 And any chance to use AOP?
AOP, no, I don't have much knowledge on the AOP hands-on, but yeah, internally Spring Framework it uses a lot AOP.
Okay, okay. So you know a bit about it. So, any scenario you can tell me where you can use AOP?
Um, yeah, in case of exceptional handling, if you want to handle the exception in our Spring Boot or microservices API, so in that case, generally when we are creating the global exception handler, in that case internally the AOP is being used. Uh, but
Okay.
yeah, so whenever we are throwing exception, then the control is coming to our global exception handler class, and then in that particular method. So this is where the AOP is used.
in
But
your project. Okay.
yeah, so but specifically creating our application using AOP, I'm not aware or not
No
used.
problem. So how did you you told me something about exceptions. So in your project, how did you handle exceptions? How many type you are currently handling with exceptions?
Yeah. So for handling the exception, we are creating a global exception handler class. Firstly, we mark our class as at rest controller advice on the top of the class. Then after that, we are creating one method. On the top of that method, we are marking that method with at exceptional handler annotations with the type of exception that we want to throw. Let's say I want to throw the exception for order not found exception. So we will expect that in at handler, and then we will write. So in that method, uh, we will get whatever the message or we are mentioning.
So whenever exception comes, then this method will be called, or this method can intervene into the business join point.
Yeah,
Can it?
whenever the exception is arising. Suppose I am getting the order, and the order ID for getting that order I am passing it as invalid. So I will write this condition: if the order ID is null, then throw order not found exception. Then after that, the control will come to the method that we have mentioned for the at exceptional handler with that order not found exception class. Similarly, we can write the exception for generic also. The same we can add whatever we have added for order not found exception. Just the difference is that we will need to write the exception dot class in exception add exceptional handler annotation.
Okay, so you can handle multiple exceptions also in the single handler.
Yes, we can. We can write multiple methods also. We can handle our user defined or generic exception by using exception dot class.
Okay, so in business classes, like in service layers or repository layer or the controller layer, you are not handling exceptions at all. You are just doing it generic. That's how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we write try catch in based on the functionality, but I think the best way is to handle those exception by using the
Generic.
at rest controller advice.
Okay. No. Okay. Now I'll move towards microservices. So I'll give you one scenario based question. Okay. So I have an e-commerce application. Now I want you to. So the current application is a monolithic one. Since the project is just getting started, we have created a e-commerce website. It's a monolithic one. Now you have to divide this monolithic application to multiple microservices. So on what condition you will divide it, and how many microservices you can think about it. That's what I'm expecting from you.
Okay. Yeah. So in this case, we will divide this microservice into microservices such as based on the functionality. So first will be like search. So whatever the search part is there in that monolithic application, so that we will take as a one service searching and filtering related thing. And so whatever the products are there, so for loading those from the databases, so there will be some products. For that we will be having one microservice for getting all the products. And then for uh, checking out, or for making, means once we select any product and if we want to buy that, so for this we will make a microservice for payment, like search
Payment microservice.
microservice, payment microservice. Yeah. And yeah, for these are the things that as of now coming in my mind.
Okay. So just have an example of Flipkart. So what all you do? You said that okay, you have a browser catalog. So browse feature you can do with the search. So search microservice is fine. Then what you do? You add it to cart. Then
Cart.
you
Yeah.
place an order. Then a delivery partner is assigned. Then you do the payment and so on.
Yeah.
So that's where I was expecting key. These way we can divide the order microservice, payment microservice. Okay, now fine, you have divided into multiple microservices based on your functionality. Great. Now suppose we have a sale going on. So how would you make sure that your application is available to all the consumers? So how will you make sure?
Yeah. So in case of a peak time, so in that case, we can have uh, some alarms that if suppose traffic is going high, so then we can spin up the instances. We can have the uh, scale of horizontal scaling. Suppose the average TPS, transaction per second, is suppose 10. Now they are suddenly 15 or 20. Then we will spin up the instances that are deployed onto the cloud. So this way also, suppose there is a one functionality that is used frequently. Let's say the search functionality compared to other functionality like checkout or payment. So search functionality will be used very frequently. So in that case, we can allocate more resources to the search functionality. Yeah, search.
So you will increase the number of instances horizontally. You will scale only the search microservice, keeping the others same, right?
Yeah.
Now what happens if, now suppose for others you have made them as is. So suppose orders are very less. They are just searching. So you are not spinning up the order microservice. That's okay. Now what if your order microservice, you have two instances and both are crashed. So how will you make them fault tolerant?
Fault tolerance, yeah. So I think we can do this with the help of the circuit breaker design pattern. For that, that we can implement it with the resilience 4J. That is the new implementation. I think previously it was Hystrix. So we can write one method. I think it is called as fallback method. So whatever the default response that for time being that can be shown to the user.
User friendly message. Okay.
Yeah. Or some list of products for time being for the users, that it won't be shown to the user that the service is down or something. So we will having some list of products that will shown onto the home page once the user visit our site flipkart.com.
Okay. Sounds good. So now you have n number of instances. So how will you make sure that all the requests for all the users doesn't come to only one instance? It is divided equally among all the instances. How will you do that?
That we can do with the help of the feign client. Also, the internally feign client is doing the client side load balancing in a round robin fashion. So we will be having the gateway. We will be set up gateway, then Eureka server and the feign client. So the communication between services we can do with the help of Eureka server, feign client. So feign client internally uses the load balancing, client side load balancing. So suppose there are 3 services. So first time it will go to the first service, second time, second, third, then again 1, 2, 3.
It's a round robin fashion. So I see that you have used feign client a lot. So ever worked with REST template, and how feign client is better than REST template? Any clue on that?
I think in case of service to service communication, we prefer the feign client. And if our call is going outside our domain, we are calling some third party other service, then in that case we can use the REST template.
So that's the difference between feign client and REST template. That's how.
Yeah. So,
you never worked with REST template. That's how.
Yeah, REST template I work. In case of a feign client, we just have to create the interface, mark that with at feign client, and whichever the method that we have to call, we have to pass. In case of REST template, we have to auto wire at REST template, and based on our type, we have to mention the URL as well as the parameter in the map or the path variable that we have to mention.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know the exactly the.
No worries. Understood. Okay. So in any ways, feign client you find better than REST template in any scenario?
I think generally their main uses is like service to service call, suppose I have developed the Flipkart application, so the communication between them I will do with the feign client, and if there is some other call outside my services, then I will use the REST template.
Any reason why will you do that?
I think
No
I don't know, but yeah, that is preferred one.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so back to our microservices. We have n number of services, right? Now you said that you have one search microservice, you have one order microservice, one payment microservice, one delivery microservice. Now,
Yes.
how many databases will you design, and what database will you use? NoSQL, MySQL, what kind of SQL database will you use, and what strategy will you use? Like one database per microservice, or a shared database for all the microservices?
Yeah, I will use based on the requirement. We can use the database. We can have multiple database also. So, like for search related thing, we can use the MongoDB kind of thing, and for other thing we can use the RDBMS also. We can use
When which
RDB.
scenario? I mean, when will you use NoSQL? When will you use MySQL?
For search related means when our data is not structured, then we will use the MongoDB or NoSQL.
Okay.
If our data is structured, then we can use the RDBMS.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I'll give you one scenario. We have a search microservice, we have a order microservice, a payment microservice, a delivery microservice. Okay. Now, they what I have done is I have selected the products, added to the cart, placed an order, did the payment, the delivery partner is assigned, I'm waiting for my order. What happens if my payment is failed? Then I have to roll back it up completely. So how will you manage this?
Yeah, we can manage this by using distributed transaction by making use of the Saga design pattern.
Okay, and what is Saga design pattern?
Sorry, I don't know. I just heard that. I read that, but I'm not able to explain. I will have to check that.
No worries. Yeah. Okay, correctly. So what is this? A distributed transaction? What is that?
Distributed transaction means I think those transactions are divided into the services, and if they are getting the acknowledgement, I think based on acknowledgement it is working. If they are not getting acknowledged, then they are getting rollback.
Okay.
But not
something similar like 2PC. So any clue about what is 2PC? Two-phase commit? Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, I think all the transactions should commit, or if it is failed, then all transactions should be rolled back.
That is asset property, right?
Okay.
That follows. That is something that you have to follow the asset property for this. Okay, no problem. I'll move ahead. For the microservices that you have created, how will you handle the security part?
Yeah, we can do that with the help of OAuth, with the help of OAuth by setting up the JSON web token. So whenever I'm calling the service, so basically securing microservices means securing the endpoints that are being exposed or used by the other services. So we can add security by configuring the OAuth by making use of some kind of token. For that, I think we need a resource server and authorization server. So I think resource server is creating the token, and other server one server is creating the token and other one is validating. So whenever we are making the call, so that should be in header, and we have to configure. Since we have to do, this is the one-time configuration we have to do at the service.
Okay,
I don't know much about that. I will have to check this.
No problem. So do you know the flow, end-to-end flow, how the auth server, the resource server, how the client, how do they interact with each other?
No.
No worries, no worries. Okay. Okay, you have used JSON Web Token. So, any other token you have used for security? And why JSON Web Token you have used? Reason for that?
Uh, Reason I don't know, but and only that I have used.
No problem, no problem. Fine. I'll move ahead. So now I know that you have used Git and Bitbucket as a version control tool. So now in your organization, you have many people working on the same repository. So how did you manage your branching and repository management and version controls? How did you collaborate over a repository?
Yeah. So we basically suppose on file we are creating. So any developer who is committing the code. So firstly he is raising the pull request. PR we call it as.
Okay.
So yeah. So in that case, whenever he is raising the PR, firstly he is getting the pull. And if suppose some developer is also working on the same file, then he will get the conflict. So he will resolve those conflict, or he will take other changes and then he will pull. And once we raise the pull request, we ask for the code review. The architect or the senior developers, they provide us the review comments, and then we merge. So firstly, on a pull request raise, the Jenkins build job is getting for checking the compilation, and then after the PR is merged, in that case, the code is getting merged into the respective branches based on versioning. Means if in current project, if we are merging the code to the master, then it is going to auto merge into the release, provided the uh, files in the both the branches are in a sync.
So you are following the deployment through branch. That's how?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do you manage the branches? How many branches you have? How the developers work?
Okay.
How testers work? How QA work? How production works?
Yeah. So we have develop branch for the dev environment, release branch uh, for the like others environment. Um, so whenever firstly we code we commit the code, then the code is going to the dev environment. So Jenkins job is getting triggered on the merge, and changes are getting deployed to the dev environment. And then once we verified those, then we are merging, or it is getting auto merging to the release, and then the changes are getting deployed to the test environment or QA environment. Then their testers are doing. And apart from this, we have model environment and the prod environment. So for that also we are having the configuration. Uh, the properties files are there for picking up the others configuration related to the different environment. So so once this QA is done, then we are going to the prod and the fix.
Okay, so you have done profiling also in your Spring Boot projects, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what if there is one property which is common to all my microservices? So how do you duplicate the same property, or how do you manage the duplicate properties?
Uh, Same property for all microservices, it is common. So I think we can keep that in the same microservice, in the microservice itself.
So all microservices will have the same properties. That's how.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have 100 properties, and all the 100 properties for all the microservices are common. Then you will duplicate the code 100 times, 100 times, 100 times for each microservice. That's how.
So I think as per my understanding, for if the properties are different or changing, that we keep at the config server. And for common properties, yeah, sorry, I got confused.
Yeah, no problem,
Yeah.
no problem. Okay, you are on the right track. No problem. That's okay. Understood. Now, you said that you have PRs and PR reviews, right? So,
Yeah.
what if I give you that, please review my code? So, what all things you will check in my code to have the proper PR review done for my code base?
Yeah. Firstly, it should be a compile. Then
But that will be checked by
JUnit.
Jenkins only, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, correct. Unit test cases should be there.
But that is
Then
also done by Jenkins.
yeah, and mm, then comments should be there, which are the methods that has been added. Comments should be added. But from this, yeah, these are the things.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you will see in my code base, and then you will put some review comment that this is the best
If
practice
it
to
is
be done.
impacting, yeah, if it is impacting to other services or other functionality, if it is breaking, suppose I have written one method and maybe it is calling some other functionality.
Okay. But
So
how would you know that?
request
Because until unless you won't make the UI run, you will
make
not be able to fetch that issue. Just by looking at the code, anything that you see that this is getting wrong, this should be corrected, this is the best practices, these should be followed.
yeah. So naming convention, then based on functionality. So like for the array list, we can means if we want to retrieve, then we can use the array list. Don't use linked list.
Okay.
And following the standard coding practices.
Okay, no problem. Works. Okay, I also see that in your resume you have written you have done the unit testing and integration testing. So how do you do the unit test cases for your code base?
Yeah, I'm doing that with the help of JUnits and the Mockito framework.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and integration testing means that which I did manually, means once the code is getting deployed and all other components are getting communicated. So one kind of sanity before handovering it to the testers.
So
So
manual
checking the
integration testing. That's
manual.
what you're doing. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Any knowledge about the BDDs or test?
Yeah, that I don't much work on that, but yes, I have that understanding about the test driven development TDD. So writing the scenarios into uh, that file by when, then given. So for that I have used Vetar framework for writing those scenario with the help of I don't remember the name of that framework. I think Vetar is the framework, that is the old one that is used for writing this kind of scenario with the help of the Cucumber.
Okay. So Cucumber would be the one for your BDD testings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you said that you have used Mockito also. So what are the scenarios where you need to actually mock your code? Any scenario?
Yeah. So instead of suppose I am writing one test case for one method and it is calling some other functionality from that also. So in that case, then we can make a use of the Mockito.
So for calling one method to another method, you are
No,
using
no,
Mockito.
just for getting the response, mock response. So
Okay. So you're
instead of
mocking
getting
something.
that call, yeah.
Why do you want to mock? I mean, one method is calling another microservice. Why to mock?
Uh, if you just want to test only the particular functionality that is written in that method instead of that call, so then we can mock.
So you have mocked a call to another service.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any reason? I mean, what will happen if it gets called? That's okay. That will get called to give you the
Yeah,
response.
but if we are just testing, so it will take time and
Okay. Performance will be impacted.
performance. Yeah.
Okay.
When we ambient clean install.
Okay. Also, maybe your Jenkins will keep on waiting till your
Yeah.
JUnits
Yes.
are passed. Okay. Okay. Also, I can see you have used Docker.
Yes. Docker I have used.
Why Docker?
Yeah. So in case of Docker means we can deploy our services nicely. So if you want to Dockerize any application, so it uses a very lightweight Bootstrap OS to deploy the services. So there is one problem we used to get previously, like here it is working in one environment, it is working, or on my local is working, and some at others locals it is not working. So with the help of Docker, we have to mention one base class base operating system, and then whatever the services or the other things supporting to that service software or any, so we can mention that.
Okay.
So without this, that issue is getting resolved, containerization. That
Okay.
working on one machine, not working on other machine. So it is portable. It will give same experience to everyone with the help of Docker container
Why
deployment.
does it do that? I mean, what does that container contains that it works on your machine and also works on my machine? What does that container have?
Okay. So before creating the container, we need to write the Docker file. In that Docker file, the very first step we are mentioning the from, and from specifies that the base image or the lightweight operating system, and that is running. So that will run same for all others also. So it is not using the actual resources from the machine. So it is going to create its own container.
Okay. Okay, no problem. That it is using someone's resource. It's not using the resource from other OS. That's okay. And from also will give you the base image. That's it. But what actually makes it that it now it is working for you, it is also working for me. So there must be some packaging done, right? Which has everything into it, which is working with you also, with me also. So
it will be having that Bootstrap OS, our jar, and our Tomcat and whatever our project code libraries, and
everything into
the
one.
Java version, whichever we want, JDK, same JDK.
Okay. And you, when you have multiple containers with all the microservices, you have n number of containers created, right? One container having this, one having another microservice, another container. You have suppose you have 100 microservices working, 100 containers. How will you manage all those containers?
So I think for that we can use the Kubernetes to manage the lot of container. It is called as pod. Pod is nothing but collections of the container.
Okay. Fine. And how does Kubernetes help you? I mean, what Kubernetes does for you that makes your life easy?
Yeah. So managing these containers, their startup, stop, health, their monitoring.
Any commands you remember when you work with Kubernetes?
I don't remember. But yeah, Docker commands I know. Kubernetes command I don't remember. I think.
No problem. Okay. And where are your Docker images hosted? Where do you pull the Docker images from?
Yeah, Nexus 2, or I think Nexus 3, or on AWS Elastic Container Kubernetes. The registry is there. I don't remember exact name.
Container registry.
Container registry.
Okay. And how do you maintain the versioning of your Docker images?
Versioning for Docker images. Yes, the version of the application or our jar. The jar version.
So every time you deploy, you increase your jar version. That's how? With every deployment?
Yes.
Okay. And how, I mean, just say, for example, I have, what is the versioning format you're using?
Yeah, I think I misinterpret your question. You are saying how the versioning has been managed by Docker every time. Yeah, I think in case of release only we change our jar version. Here I don't remember how it is managed, but yeah, it is been managed. I think.
No problem. That's okay. Okay. Also, I can see that you are using CI/CD pipelines, Jenkins pipelines. So, what are the steps that the Jenkins pipeline you are following for a proper CI/CD flow?
Yeah. So there are various jobs configured build is there. Then some security means in my current project, Fortify is uh, Fortify is configured to check some security related things. Then um, deploying to the cloud. For that, Terraform's files are written in our project for each of the environment. Those files are read and the service is getting deployed into the ECS, Elastic Container Service.
Okay. What is Terraform?
Terraform, I don't have much idea, but there is one file that is configured at service side where name of that service, number of instances, minimum memory or instances, then account number. So all these steps are mentioned inside the Terraform file, and it is created for each environment.
Okay.
So basically helping for the deployment to Jenkins.
Okay. Okay. And the Jenkins build pipeline, you have just a security check, a build check, any sonar checks, anything?
Yes, they are also there. Yeah, JUnits and Sonar cubes providing the code quality that I understand.
Okay. Okay. And what? So while coding, any design patterns you have used? You came across?
Yeah, builder design pattern, singleton design pattern. Yeah, factory also I have used.
Why singleton? Where have you used singleton design pattern? Why have you used?
The use case for the singleton is like in case of logging, you can have means driver objects loading, logging,
Okay.
as well as there we can use the singleton design
Singleton design
pattern.
pattern. Okay. And where have you used the builder ones? Any scenario here? Where?
Yeah, so I have a class with lot of properties. So instead of creating the so if you want to provide create the object, so instead of creating a long constructor, so out of suppose 100 properties, I want to create the object with 5 or 7 or 10 properties. Then we can make a use of builder design pattern.
Okay. And any clue about the solid principles, and have you used it in your project while coding?
Yeah, means I know about the solid design pattern. They are helping for solving the common problems and it is improving the performance. So first is like single responsibility principle, and so L is Liskov principle, as in open close principle, inversion of control, and SLID, I don't know, dependency
So,
injection, I think.
what's single responsibility, and how did you implement it in your project?
Single responsibility for one service there should be one and only one functionality that should be done by that service. Suppose
Should have
we are
single
having one
responsibility.
functionality, yeah, so we should implement only, we should not mix multiple functionality into the one service.
Okay.
Suppose I am doing some arithmetic operation, so then addition, subtraction, multiplication, or those four operation we can have only those four operation in our that service.
Okay. And open close principle?
Open close principle, it should be, I think, open for more, open for flexibility but close for modification. I don't remember it exactly. Yeah.
No problem. It's too much theoretical. That's okay. Okay. I can also see kibana there. So, what? Why did you use kibana, and how is it actually related to Elasticsearch and all these things?
Yeah, for log monitoring, we have used, so whatever the services that we have, they are producing the logs. So those logs are gathered in the kibana, and if suppose we want to troubleshoot if there is any issue, then we can search by using that application name and that particular log or some unique ID to know if there is any issue. For that purpose, we are using kibana.
Okay, and who consolidates all those logs and give it to kibana?
In this case, I don't know, but there is some service configured at a cluster level at the AWS, means it is sending logs to the CloudWatch as well as the Kibana. I am telling this in my as per my current project.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but in case of a Splunk, I would tell, means similar is the case for the Splunk. So whatever the logs are generated, so for that purpose we configured the Splunk related things like host name, port number in our the logger file with the appender as a Splunk appender. So due to this, whatever the logs are generated, they will be sent to that Splunk host name with that port number. So this was with the Splunk. Similar kind of thing might be there with the Kibana, but I don't know how it is done in current project.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Also, you said this. You have used CloudWatch, and why did you use that?
Yeah, CloudWatch, that also we use for log monitoring purpose,
Okay.
where where we can search the logs for specific services, as well as alarms are created also in CloudWatch if the utilization is going above 90% CPU or memory utilization. So those are configured
For all the
in the
environments, or only
CloudWatch
for production?
production.
Not for the environments.
Uh, I seen pre-prod and prod only.
Okay. Okay. And what if the things goes very wrong in development moment? How do you manage that?
Yeah, we check the logs
Manually.
and or manually, or some instances are getting spin up if the traffic is coming or CPU utilization is high.
Okay.
And also we check things what is wrong or is there an issue.
Okay. Okay. And now coming back to my old previous microservice scenario, e-commerce. How do you make sure that your applications, microservices interact with each other? How do they interact?
Microservice interaction, if suppose means there are two types of microservice communication, I think synchronous and asynchronous. In case of synchronous microservice communication, we are making use of a Eureka server for making a HTTP call.
Eureka server
we are
makes HTTP calls? I mean, I didn't.
Eureka server, yeah, with the help of feign client.
Okay.
Eureka server for communication between the microservices.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it is
what
not
did you
making
use
HTTP
for
call.
service discovery?
Yeah, Eureka server, service discovery,
Okay.
for communication of a microservices. Means we have to configure the feign clients also. We can configure and my Eureka server, and we just have to mention the string application name whatever we have given. So then automatically it is taken care by the Eureka server.
Okay, it will only have the registry. But how the actual
Yeah.
connection happens is with the fake line. That's all?
Yes.
Okay. Take it. And that was synchronous. How do you do asynchronous communications?
In case of asynchronous communication, suppose if I want to connect with the queue, then configuration we have to mention for connecting with the queue. There will be some producer microservices, some consumer microservices. They will be putting or getting the messages from that queue or
what kind of any specific queue implementation you have done? Like
IBM MQ I have used in my project once.
Anything about Kafka?
Kafka, no, I don't have much knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So asynchronous communication you have done through queues and all. Okay, and any scenario where you need to do asynchronous communication, and any scenario where you specifically need synchronous communications?
Yes, suppose there is a dependency, means if I am calling any external API and I want that response, then immediately, then we can have that HTTP call. Without that, we can't go ahead. So we will use the synchronous communication. But if there is no such kind of dependency, so till I am getting the response, so I can do my own things. Then we can go for asynchronous communication.
Okay. Any scenario where you have used
Yeah.
asynchronous?
Yes. Uh, so in one of my project, when user is logging into the internet banking, some events are getting generated based on their actions. So those events are captured and put into the queue, IBM VM queue, and based on that, some decision is we are taking. So in this scenario, we have used the IBM VM queue.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I have few programming questions. We'll be taking it
Yeah.
later on. So I'll close this as of now, and
Yeah.
let's go ahead with the feedback part. Later on, we'll
Yeah.
take the programming. So,
Yes.
as far as I can see, your preparation is very strong. It's very nice. Uh, as a feedback, I can see you are well versed with almost everything that you have written in your resume. That is the first best part I can see, because what you write in the resume is what you are asked upon. So write only those things that you know, and you have almost covered everything that you have written. Also, if you're saying something, you will interview will like ask over that particular word. So you said that you use Terraform, so they will grill you on Terraform. So
Yes.
don't
Right.
speak anything that you don't know about. Otherwise, they will grill you on
Okay.
that. So
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
Terraform, that is for infrastructure creation also. So just have a look at, if
Okay.
you're saying Terraform,
Yes.
have a look what is Terraform, because it's more towards the DevOps. That you are actually taking your interview towards the DevOps side. So be very careful before answering anything about that, because you will drive your
Yes, I agree.
interview towards that.
Yeah.
Okay. About Spring Boot, you are good enough. You know the manager endpoints. You just check once, like how can you change and configure the manager endpoints, because I don't want that my URL should be same as the system URL. So,
Okay.
localhost 8080 working for my system, it should not work with the management endpoints actuators also. Otherwise, /actuator, anybody can see your beans created. So that's a security risk. I am a hacker.
Okay.
Your system is working with localhost 8080 / login page. I cannot do anything with your login page. But if I remove the logging, I said actuator /beans, I can see all your beans. And if your banking
Yes.
system, I can see that yes, in the banking system you have these being created. This is the account bean that you've created. I can see check the account statements and everything. Very risky thing. So actuator endpoint should be different from your server endpoint.
Main
Just
service.
an example.
Okay. Yes, I will check.
If I'm a hacker, I'll ruin
Yeah.
your system.
Check.
Because actuators not only give the situation of your health, but also the beans created, the name of the classes, instances, everything is there.
Yeah.
So I will ruin you if I'm the hacker.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I will check that.
No problem. Apart from that, most of the things you have done perfectly. Also, one more thing, AOP, yes, you have said it correctly that many a time internally AOP is being used. But what if I have to do the logging? So what I'll give you one scenario. Every time my method starts and my method ends, I need to know that how much time is the method is taking. So that duration, every method. So I have hundreds of method. I need every 100 method how much duration a method execution took. So logging at the start and logging at the end I have to do. So of 100 methods, 200 logs. Bad thing, right? So writing same thing, that method started at this, method ended at this. You could have used AOP, segregated the logging, segregated the business. So rather than having 100 lines of code, 1 line or 2 line of code, and you are done.
Yes, correct.
So it will reduce your code duplicacy.
Maintenance also become easy.
Yes, because otherwise your methods will also have 200 lines of duplicacy. Correct.
Yes,
So that's where you can use AOP. About the exception handling, correctly said, the global exception handler you have done, and it is the better way rather than doing it in each and every. Again, code duplicacy is removed. Annotations, you are, I think, doing wrong with that. It's a direct controller advice, not the rest control advice, as far as I know. Just check about the annotations that you are using. If you're taking the name of the annotation, just take it right. For the microservices, you just have to have a look at how can you divide a whole mode system into multiple Microservices, you segregated it right, that you can have one search microservice, one payment microservice. The more you can divide, the more is the better. Otherwise,
Yeah,
Into
that
will
is.
help you.
Yes.
Most interviews are not here to reject, so they will help you to divide it, but they will grill upon that. So, but the good thing that you have done is that you know about the load balancing, you know about the scaling. So, I find it good. Also, security you have to work upon,
Yes,
because
security.
they will grill you on security. 8+ years, they will
Yeah.
grill you. Trust me on my words.
Yeah.
Security, you cannot leave. They will
Yeah, I have to
grill you.
prepare that. Yeah.
Ha, ha. Also, you know about the distributed transaction. That is very good. You just have to look about the Saga design. One of the distributed transaction, and you're good to go. Have
Okay.
a look at either at Saga design pattern, which is having the orchestration and choreography, or you have a look at there are many, like there's CQRS also. There's many other design patterns for this distributed handling. So you can also have a look at 2PC, but 2PC is not used. So just
Okay.
have a look. The disadvantage of
Yeah.
2PC makes the advantage of Saga. So if you said Saga, you should know why 2PC not. So just have a look,
Okay.
and that will be great. But it's good that you
Yeah.
know that distributed transactions occurs. That is good. So what you are doing is your preparation is very good. It's just that some small pinpoints here and there, and you will be good to go.
Okay.
Also, fake client, you are good with that. Also, with the Git branching and everything, I find it good. For the deployment strategy, also you said that it is based on branching. That is also fine. That depends upon the project, and most of the projects I can see is branching specific environment deployments, which is good. Also, one thing for the PR reviews part, you cannot just say that a naming convention. For whenever they ask you that what do you review in the code, you can say it in this way, that I see that all the solid principles are followed, all the design
Oh.
patterns are followed.
Okay.
Like for
Okay.
example, you have one database creation object, the entity
Mhm.
manager. You know that entity manager has to be only one, because it's a very heavy object. You create more connections, you will end up paying more to the AWS people. Or if you have more database hit, you will end up giving more money to them. So create one single object as a singleton and try hitting it. So that is also one of the question I have asked you, that where have you used singleton? So that can be an
Yes.
answer, that singleton can be
Yes.
used where you have single object creation for database. Otherwise, every time you hit, every time AWS will take penny from your pocket. That can be
Yes.
a case. So that's singleton that I have told you. For the PR review also, you can say that single responsibility model is followed. Your entity should not have your business logic written. Such kind of
Mhm.
manipulations you can do. These questions are mostly manipulative questions. They try to trick you,
Mhm.
that because at some point of time you always have to do the PR reviews. So they will question you, what do you see in the code when you do the PR reviews? Because 8+ and you are given a chance to review the code for peers. So
Okay.
these things you have to see. Also,
Yes. Yes.
I'll give you one more thing, that you see that the code duplicacy is less. So if two methods are having same code, you define it in utility and call that as a static method from all the methods where it is being used. So that is one more thing you
Mhm.
can do the PR review during the PR review.
Yes. Right.
And there are many more. This is just an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, I will
You
check
can,
that. Yes.
no problem. The unit testing part, you are perfectly fine. You said that you used JUnit, that is great. You said that you used Mockito, but you were not able to explain why Mockito. So
Yes,
I'll
I
give
get
you
it.
one example. Why do you mock? So the reason is that suppose I have a database connection. So my repository layer calls the database, gets the data and show it to the UI. Now I am going to test my code for calling the database. But if during the testing I hit the database that many times, for all the boundary and corner cases also, I will end up paying more to the AWS people. Because every hit that you make to the AWS or the cloud database, you will end up paying more. So for just the unit testing, why should I pay to the AWS people?
Yes. Yes.
That's how you can
Correct.
say that. That is why I mock my database call, so that I don't have to pay from my pocket. Okay?
Yes. Correct. Yeah.
REST integration testing, you were right. With Cucumber, we do the integration testing. And also, many people don't do it. They do it manually. That is also fine. Not a
Mhm.
problem. But if you say Cucumber, they will screw you on the scenarios and the
Yeah.
steps you do.
Yeah.
So, if you speak Cucumber, make sure you know Cucumber.
Mhm.
Docker is fine. It was good that it was a containerization tool. And what you actually pack everything is your libraries, your jars, and every dependency. And that's why it works on your machine and also on my machine. So at the end,
Yes,
you
correct.
reached to the point.
I was not able to explain, but I was telling, but conclusion I was not telling.
No, but at the end, you reached. So interviewers will help you here and there to reach to the end result. And you know what? That is great. Apart from that, Docker images versioning, that is also fine. You said that yes, with every release you change the release version, and that becomes your Docker image version also, and that's how you get the latest one. And if during the deployment anything goes wrong, you roll back to the previous image because it is already there in your Nexus. That is perfectly fine. That is great. Apart from that, CI/CD pipeline, you have to look into the steps. You were right.
Jobs.
There's a jobs and steps.
Those are
Correct. So
concurrent
you were
entries.
right about the build. You were right about the sonar. You were right about security. We have few more steps that you have a look, and you will be good to go. But CI/CD part you do. For the design patterns, you said singleton, builder. These are all fine. Just have if you're saying that you have used, you have to know the scenario where you have used. So just be very thorough about that. So, but it's good. And for the solid principle, it's a theoretical, I know, but interviewer might ask you, because what happens is usually developers, what they do is in the entity itself they write the controller logic, the business logic, and which is not a good thing. So the solid principles usually work upon how good we can code, and it's usually said that just quickly make your work done and get out of the class before anything goes wrong. So that those principles are actually being defined with the solid principles. So just have a look at what these solid, how did you make sure that your code base is very good. That's using the solid principle.
Difficult to remember those statements. We have to remember those with the example.
Yes. It is. I totally agree. It is. But actually, that if you follow that now, your code base will be very beautiful. Because if you merge everything in the entity, how would you feel? So you have an employee entity. I put every logic into that. My database call also into that entity. You will feel bad, right? So that's what single responsibility principle says. Don't write everything into entity. Entity means entity.
Yes.
That's why. So yes, it is very theoretical, I agree. But that makes your code beautiful.
Need to prepare.
No. You don't need to prepare. You are already very much prepared. You just have to just have small pinpointing things to be done. That's it. Because what I can see is whatever you have written in resume, you are able to speak, which is very good. You are already very much well prepared. It's just that small things you have to look at. Because solid principle also you have almost half of them you have already answered. I know that inversion of control you will answer. It's just the inversion of control. That's it. So you're already prepared. You don't have to worry much. It's just that small things here and there, and you will be good to go. Security, yes, you have to prepare. So for the coding part, we'll see. We'll connect again. Mostly Java 8 coding is what I was looking forward to. But you prepare for the Java 8 part, that will be good enough. Any feedback for me? How was it very demotivating, or was I good?
No. It was really nice, and whatever I am speaking on that you were asking. Means if I am explaining one thing, so it was completely related and it was completely in a flow. So it was nice.
Awesome.
Yes.
So any questions from me, Atul?
No questions. Nice
it?
to talk with you.
Okay, thank you so much for connecting. All the very best for your preparation. You are already very much prepared. Small things here and there, and you're good to go. Thank you so much for connecting. Have a nice day. So that was all about the mock interview session we have with Atul. Thank you, Atul, for the valuable time. Now, if you want the second part of this video, or you want to have a interview session where we have the coding interview rounds, or you have to have, if you need some specific number of years of experience interviews, like for example an interview for 7 years of experience and so on, just let us know in the comment section. We will create more such videos for you. Thank you.